Hi guys, welcome back to another video. It is makeup intro, and I'm really excited to have another Monday with you guys. We had to take a bit of a hiatus because some stuff happened around Texas. I know you guys remember there was a crazy winter storm, and then, there was a lot of catch up to do from that. And so I had to take a little bit of a break from this, which I was really sad about, considering we were only one episode in, but this is episode 2, and I would like to welcome you to episode 2. Today we are going to be doing another card in the beautiful world of tarot, and I did pull our card in advance. I'm very excited to show it to you. I'm going to put it on the screen here, and the card that we drew for this week is the Fool. I took some time really analyzing this card before I decided to make this video, and I hope you guys will be excited because I actually decided to go ahead and write an article to accompany the video, and I'm going to try to do that from now on. So I will have a blog post up including an article on this particular card, just based on my research and everything that I found. Ta-da! But I want to talk to you about what I see in this card, and I know you can see it on the screen, so follow along with me while I get started here on my look. I'm obviously gonna sort of like make it, the look is going to be inspired by this card, as it always is. So I'm going to go in with some purples and maybe some pinks and maybe some sort of tans or beiges or nudes or browns, and play around and see what I can come up with. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about what I saw on the card first and foremost. So when I look at this card, and you can see it there with you, so you can kind of follow along with what I'm talking about. But when I look at this card, I see a light but bright sort of pastel color scheme going on in this version of the Fool. And to me, this actually is a symbolization of the push and pull that the Fool card has. I don't know how much each of you may or may not know about this card, but the Fool, to you, if you think about it, like the first thing that's going to come to mind is like court jesters and clowns, and like not necessarily a negative connotation, but not necessarily a overly positive connotation either. It doesn't necessarily usually spark like feelings of intelligence and stuff like that when people hear the word Fool. But to me, this card does appropriately symbolize the push and pull of the Fool card. The colors melt together, but it also is very abstract, which is the perfect way to describe a path forward into the unknown. So it's both a good and a bad. There is a lot of great potential for really good things, but there's also the distinct possibility that you could face a lot of trials and tribulations. So this is a positive card to me, despite the negative connotation that the word Fool may have for some of you. I believe and find this card to be actually very positive and exciting and fun. And whenever this card is found in a reading, I think you can expect good and positive things. I also want to talk about the woman in the card. I noticed that the woman who's crossing the desert in this particular card, she can't really see what's ahead of her. There is sort of a point in the sand where the ground becomes thin and the light shines really brightly. To me, that could be symbolizing that even in the darkest times, when things are the most difficult or treacherous, there's a purpose and a meaning to your path. I think this is really important when it comes to matters of mental health and having hope and understanding that even the difficult things that happen in life, like it's some of the things that people say to us all the time, they like to say, oh, there's always a reason. And I'm not gonna lie, I hate it when people say that. I'm like, cool, we're going through this really hard thing, but don't worry, some good will come of it. There's always a reason that you're going through this. And in that moment, you want to be like, yeah, well, suck it, because right now this is really, really hard and I don't need to hear that. So I don't want to be like cliche about it, but there is a level of positivity to this card that can't be denied. And even in the hard times, you know, there's going to be, nobody ever has a life that's like 100% full of rainbows, roses, and sunshine. Like, that's just not the way that it is, you know? Like, you're most definitely going to come across some harder times. Like, even diamonds, they say, are created under pressure. So I think realistically, it's important to remember that when those times arise, that something good can come of the situation still. So I think that's really important. I also wanted to discuss how I feel like the woman is a bit of a blank canvas in this card. And I don't mean that in terms of her skin color or her nationality or anything like that, obviously. What I mean by that is that she's just all one color, like her skin, her dress, like all of that is sort of, it's very nude, very beige, very, she's not wearing a lot of bright clothing, you know, she's not naked, but she is rather nude. I take this to mean that she is any woman, as in like there's no type of person or woman that is going to go through their path or that can find their path. It's any woman. Any woman has their path available to them. You know what I mean? Like, this card isn't discriminate towards people, you know? And I think that that's really important when it comes to the future and seeing possibilities for the future and stuff like that. So I really appreciated that they really made this character very monotone, I guess is the right word for it. That made me very, very happy. So the other thing that I noticed that was interesting about the way that this card looked particularly was that there are two paths. If you look really, really closely at the card, you could see in the bottom left-hand corner, there is actually a ladder there. And that ladder is another path. Like, this person doesn't have to follow the path that's laid out before her. If only she would just stop and take a look around, she might see that there is another option there. And as exciting as that seems like it should be, I think that this is like an example of our human nature and our refusal to learn from our loved ones' mistakes. Very often we'll have a mother or a father or a family member or a loved one who has been through similar things, and they're just desperately trying to tell us what they learned so that we can avoid making those same mistakes in our journey. And our children, it's often said, really do have to learn from their own mistakes. Like, you can tell them until you're blue in the face, but they're going to do what they're going to do to learn their life lessons. And sometimes the biggest lessons are, in fact, learned that very way. So I feel like you can tell them to look around. You can tell them to look around for the other path. You can tell them how much easier or better or safer that other path might be, but it's really going to be up to them to look around for it, much less take it. And so I see that a lot in this particular card. And that's kind of what that means to me. Most entertaining of all, I would say, is the galaxy below this card. So if you look really closely, you can see underneath, I mean, you probably don't even have to look that close. You can see underneath that there is an entire galaxy sitting at the bottom of this path. When you're taking a leap of faith and you have no idea where you might fall, and the possibilities for your life are absolutely endless, that can be very, like, indicative of galaxy and space, you know? It's never ending. It's all open. It's completely, like, you have no idea what you are going to find in the great lengths of space. It is wildly unnavigated territory. And that is the perfect symbolization for this card, because this card really is about taking a big, fat leap of faith. So I thought that was kind of cool that they incorporated kind of space and the galaxy into this particular card. And it, honestly, I don't know if you guys know this about me. I'm sure you don't, but when I was a young girl, I really, really wanted to be an astronaut. And we all have that story where we told somebody, oh, I really want to be this when I grow up, and they like dash their hopes and dreams. I had some random teacher tell me, you know, yeah, that's great, but you know, astronauts have to do a lot of math. They have to be really good at math. And I was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna make it as an astronaut. Cheers to new beginnings. You know, I look back on that time and I'm like, I could have 100% been an astronaut if I wanted to. Thank you very much. Like, what was she thinking? Who tells a child that? I don't know. Don't be that person, guys. Don't be the person that tells a kid that they can't do something when they grow up, okay? Because you might ruin the world. Who knows? I could have been like the brightest female astronaut of our future. I could have like discovered completely uncharted territories. But no, we'll never know. And part of that's my fault. Like, honestly, I should have been strong enough to be like, oh yeah, watch this, sis, watch. But I didn't. So here we are. I still think I do beautiful work, obviously. So I'm not sad about it, but still. Anyways, I do feel like the endless possibilities are really well depicted in this rendering of the Fool card. And it is really a beautiful, beautiful card. And so I'm really, really happy about the way the artist created this card. During my research, I saw a lot of different ways that the Fool has been shown and depicted, and I don't love all of them. Some of them are way too hokey. Like, I'm not saying anything bad, but like some of them are too bright and too like typical court jester type Fool colors. And I know that like some of the traditional tarot had those bright illuminate colors, and so it has nothing to do with, you know, the actual meaning of the card, and I kind of understand that, but at the same time, I just do really appreciate this particular art work when it comes to the Fool card. I really enjoy it. I really, really do. I hope you guys like it too. I hope you like it as much as I do. Okay, moving right along. Let me check my brows in the mirror because it's kind of hard to tell. Okay, they look okay. As per usual, one is always slightly different than the other, you know. As I always say, they are sisters, not twins. I did want to say, like, moving on from the description of the actual card and what it looks like onto some keywords, I wanted to say that some of the keywords that I found when researching this card were beginnings, innocence, spontaneity, adventure, and then I wanted to move on to the meaning of the card. So this card is the number 0 of the major arcana, and it's also said that the major arcana is considered the Fool's journey through life, which is really interesting. As such, he is ever present and therefore needs no number, meaning it's always there. And I think this speaks to the innocence that we all have in general. Like, it's always there, and there's always the possibility of unknown. You can't really take that away. That's life. And it's ever present. It's always there. And it dawned on me as I was like doing this research, and I was like suddenly thinking to myself about that saying, a fool for love. And that saying is used to describe falling quickly in love, and maybe too often. Like a lot of times when you're saying this about a person, you're saying, oh, they're a fool for love, meaning like they're a fool, like they're quick to fall in love with somebody, and that doesn't always last. So that led me to thinking about things in matters of the heart and love, like butterflies, like having butterflies in your tummy. And there's a lot of times when you'll have little butterflies in your tummy. Anytime that you're embarking on a new adventure, starting a new job, you're having new goals, it can cause butterflies to just like set up shop in your tummy, and you can get really excited. So I don't necessarily think that this is like means that you're embarking on a love affair. It's also about the butterflies that we feel when we're about to embark on a new adventure. We're about to start a new job. We're about to have new goals. Just that really exciting feeling that you can get when you know that you're going somewhere, but you don't know much more than that. Like you don't necessarily know how you're going to get there, or what the path's going to be like, if it's going to end up the way you want it. Like it's just, you just don't know, but it's kind of exciting. I think that this card is very much representative of that feeling of butterflies in the stomach. So I thought that was kind of an exciting take on the Fool card in general. It made me feel, thinking about that, it made me feel a little bit giddy. You know? Like a child or something like that. This is entirely appropriate because all of the research that I did totally suggests that for the most part, this card does appear in a reading when you are about to embark on an unexpected journey or a surprise adventure. So the Fool card, when it's drawn upright, like I said before, is actually considered to be a very positive card. It signifies that your experience will contribute to your growth as a human being, and it can also be interpreted as a call to risk taking. So if you were too scared to take the plunge and do something at some point, and you're pulling this card regularly in your readings, this might be a sign that you're meant to take a little bit of a risk and not just play it so safe all the time. So that's also really exciting. I'd say the name of the game for this particular card in the tarot is excitement in general for me. The sighting of the Fool should also be like a really big inspiration to you. It can be read as your blessing, like to do whatever it is that you've been thinking about doing that you may have been too scared to do, or you may have thought that it wasn't the best idea, or it wasn't the most stable decision. This card is telling you to kind of go for it and just take that risk and see what you can come up with. Which is, once again, very, very, very exciting. The reverse meaning, which I want to discuss with you guys. As always, I'm here to report the absolutely unbiased facts. So even though I don't necessarily believe in the reverse tarot, I'm going to go ahead and share the meaning of the Fool when pulled in reverse for those of you who do use it in your practice. The reverse meaning is quite the opposite, obviously, of the upright meaning that we just discussed. It can symbolize an absolute emptiness in your decision to move on a path. It can symbolize the idea that taking the risk would not be worth it for you in the end, and that you could potentially gain nothing from the experience. So if you're considering doing something big, like making a move or going somewhere crazy, and you're doing a reading, or someone's doing a reading for you and this card is pulled, it might symbolize that it's not the best idea to be taking that risk at that particular time. So if you believe in reverse tarot, and I'll go over one more time why I don't. I don't necessarily believe in reverse tarot because I feel like, however, it's just, I feel like the card is the card, and that's just my personal preference. And I also believe that if you believe something negative, then it's more likely that something negative will happen to you. So I try really hard to steer clear of those types of thought processes and stick with something positive, because if something negative wasn't necessarily about to be born into existence, I don't want it to suddenly be a possibility just because I'm putting weight into that negative thing. So that's just my 2 cents on the reverse meanings of cards, and you can take it for what you will and do with it what you will. So that's that. I want to move on and talk about some things that this card may mean for all of you in different matters. So in matters of the career, when the Fool is spotted in matters of the career and work, it can be suggesting that it's time to really go for it, to get that new job, the promotion, start your own business, whatever it is that, whatever that may look like in your life. It could mean that you will have to take risks such as moving, or the potential for a financial loss, or something like that. But it also means that you're attracting really bright, innovative new ideas that are worth something, and you could really go somewhere. So it's time to take that risk, baby. Chasing after a huge dream often feels really silly, especially to very practical people who believe in stability and wise decision making. And these are all good things. Like, these are things our parents tell us we should do, and we absolutely should. I'm not saying at all times to just throw caution to the wind. I'm simply saying that what normally might be an unwise decision, in this case, might be something worth doing. So it's not going to hurt. Well, I shouldn't say that. Let me backtrack. It's not that it's not going to hurt anything. It's just that it might be a risk worth taking in this particular case. In matters of love, this card, the Fool, can lead to a number of different possibilities depending on your particular relationship status, obviously. If you're single, it might mean that you have a really exciting possibility to meet somebody new, which obviously we all know that that can be a possibility at any given time. But what I'm saying is, I think that it might mean that you should open your mind up to the possibility of what wasn't always what you went for before, if that makes sense. So it means a new romance is on the horizon, or that you may need to take a big leap of faith, as in consider a potential partner that you wouldn't always consider. Someone who's not really your type, or someone just, someone maybe who you wouldn't normally go for, or has always kind of been around but has never really been your jam, if that makes sense. Who knows? It might be worth trying something new. It can mean really considering partners that you may not have considered in the past. And you might find it really exciting to just try something new. Even if it doesn't end up being your life partner, you might really learn something and open your mind up to new possibilities that will lead to your ultimate life partner, or whatever your goal is in your love life. So that's something to think about. If you are in a relationship, then this card can be a milestone, and it can mean big new things happening depending on how long you've been together and or what kind of relationship you have. It could mean a marriage or a new house, or it could mean something big, like just like an engagement or something like that. But it could also be something more simple, like getting a new puppy or deciding to move in together or something like that. So it really, when it comes to matters of love, it really, really does depend on where you're at in your relationship, with your relationship status in your life. The point, I think, being when it comes to love is to be open to whatever may occur and to let your love shine bright, and positive things are sure to follow. So with that being said, I would love to chat about health. When it comes to your health, this particular card, the Fool, can symbolize something fresh to those of you who have been struggling with something chronic. So conditions such as autoimmune disorders, or I have some, sorry about that, guys. I have some personal experience recently with fibromyalgia, stuff like that. You really do want to, if you've been struggling with something like that, this can signify like a fresh new outtake on that and the possibilities that you may be able to find something new. So this can also be prevalent when it comes to mental health, things like anxiety, depression, stuff like that. It can depend heavily on what you've been going through personally, but this card can signify making some headway, like seeing a brighter future. Cute. So cute. When it comes to health, back to what I was just discussing, the one recommendation that I would feel really comfortable giving to everybody is that in regards to this card, allow yourself some honest, true, genuine self-care. Being focused on your own needs are going to improve so many aspects of your life. So it's just really important. Self-care in general, I feel like, has always been really, really important. But when it comes to your mental health, if you're pulling this card, it might mean that it really is time to focus on some self-care. So basically, that's all I had. I just had like a lot of basic information for you guys about what this card means to other people, kind of what it means to me. I threw my spin in there on each given like area. We all know that this is my journey in learning the magical world of tarot, so I am nobody's expert. I've gathered information from many different sources, those of which will be cited in my article. So I hope you guys have really enjoyed this time with me. I know that I always really enjoy it with you. I love seeing you guys here on Makeup and Tarot Mondays. And I can't wait to see you again for the next one. Ta-ta for now.